It is a new day. Light begins to dawn. Rays of life, giving energy, break forth in glorious splendor. It is the dawning of a new day in consciousness. The light of illumination begins to break upon you from within. You are a spiritual being, a light being. You have been endowed with 12 cosmic powers, 12 gifts of light: faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, enthusiasm, release, life. Accept your 12 powers. Burst forth into the dawning of a new way of life. Travel along with these pathfinders of truth: David Williamson, Doctor of Ministry; Galen Williamson, Psychotherapist; and Robert Knapp, Medical Doctor, as you establish a greater sense of direction and activate your power of order.
Our power of order is mainly concerned with our ability to clarify our values, to set priorities for our lives, and to discern what's really important. How do we order and organize our lives? How do we decide what's most important? We have executive decisions to make in managing and directing our life as the CEO of our life. Remember, we looked at that in the program on will. We put first things first as we center on spiritual values rather than just on material things, trivialities, or lesser concerns. A teacher in New York decided to honor her seniors in high school by telling them the difference they made. She used a process developed by Halise Bridges of Del Mar, California. The teacher presented each of them with a blue ribbon imprinted with gold letters which read, "Who I am makes a difference." From there, the ribbons went forth to many others as students circulated them. One of the young men presented a ribbon to a junior executive who had helped him with career planning. The junior executive decided to give a blue ribbon to his boss, who was kind of a grouchy fellow. He presented his surprised boss with the ribbon and put it on him, praising him for his astute qualities. And this made the boss feel important, that he mattered and that people cared about him. He was given an extra ribbon with the request that he pass it along to someone else who would also be affirmed by receiving it. So he decided to give this ribbon to his teenage son, who he had not been paying much attention to and who had become increasingly distant. When he went home, he knocked on his son's bedroom door, and his son yelled through the door, "Yeah?" and wondered what his dad wanted. The father came in and said, "Son, I've been busy and occupied with work and other things, and I know it. I yell at you about your grades or your messy room, and I haven't given you the love I feel for you. And I want you to know that you mean a lot to me, and I want you to have this ribbon because you really do make a difference in my life. You're a great kid, and I love you." The startled boy started to sob and couldn't stop crying. His whole body shook. He looked at his father and said through his tears, "I was planning on committing suicide tomorrow, Dad, because I didn't think you loved me, and now I don't need to." If you want to get some of these Who I Make a Difference blue ribbons, information is given at the end of the program. We need to check our values to make sure that we're placing people first in our spending of time and money. We say we love each other, but we may yell at someone over a light that's left on, or a broken dish, or a scratch or dent in the car. Companies may put people out of work or on part-time jobs with no benefits in order to make the bottom line look better to their stockholders. These are order concerns and issues. We need to put our own house in order, that is, to establish a divine order of what and who is really important. I had a man say to me about another man that we both knew, he takes better care of his lawn than he does his marriage. He spent long hours weeding and trimming and planting and watering and fertilizing and watching his lawn. He spent a great deal of time and money, and he was proud of his lovely green lawn. but his marriage could have used some of that energy and devotion and care to help it grow and flourish. He took notice, finally, of what is most important and made a decision to put his relationship ahead of his lawn. Are there reevaluations or changes in priorities that can improve your life?
There's an amazing order to all of life. Even the Hebrew Bible points to order in the most humble of creatures, the ant. Look to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Well, I grew up in Michigan, and as a little girl I was fascinated with the ant mounds that were in the cracks of sidewalk. Now, living in South Florida, I have a much closer relationship with ants because they keep appearing everywhere, inside our house, in our bedroom, in our kitchen, on the walls, marching in a grand parade through windows and all along every crack possible. Ants have an amazing order. Did you know that ants have changed very little over 60 million years? The same kinds of ants that roam the world today inhabited the world of the Tyrannosaurus rex. Ant fossils have been found more than any other insects. Ants have been successful in thriving for a very long time. No wonder the Bible says, "Look to the ants." Ants are social creatures, just like wolves, gorillas, and of course we humans. Social means that they work together and help everyone in the colony. Every ant has a job. Some are farmers, engineers, construction workers, soldiers, and babysitters. There are no unemployment lines in an ant colony. So you see, in the tiniest creatures, there is an interrelatedness and interdependency, with all ants working together in an orderly way that brings harmony to the whole group. If in looking at the most minuscule, almost insignificant creature, we see simple, orderly systems operating, how much so must we as humans function in an orderly, community-oriented way? To me, order is active. It's a yang energy in Chinese terminology, and sometimes we can all be lazy. The Hebrew scriptures called it like it is, "O sluggard." How do we get lazy? Well, I believe it begins in our thinking and feeling. Sometimes we begin to feel separate and apart, feeling isolated and lonely, thinking that we don't belong or have a part to play. Well, pretty soon we begin to act as if this is true, not being a part of a community activity, growing apart from friends and other people. Remember, order is a part of a group consciousness. We experience it more fully as we are engaged in life and taking part in community activities. Albert Einstein once said, "The belief that we exist separate from each other is an optical illusion." We only look like we're separate, but in reality, we're all one. We all exist in relationship to one another. Perhaps it's partly why Jesus said, "Where two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst of them." There's a cosmic order where I exist through you, and we all exist through each other, infinitely related and together. When I get lazy, I forget my connection. I forget to value myself and others. I forget to come together to experience the bonds and benefits of being in community. Like the ant, I know I cannot do it all by myself. Rather, we thrive in community. We do much better being an integral part of the whole. Value the part that you play in your community. You're important. You are to get things done, to find solutions, to meet the challenges of the world. You are here to own your power and use it in an orderly way.
What is your favorite meal? Take a moment now to visualize yourself eating a feast of your favorite foods. From the time you start chewing the food, you are engaged in an orderly, step-by-step digestive process that brings nutrients to every cell of your body. Chewing breaks down your food, and then you add saliva to it, which has enzymes which start the digestion of the starches. Then you swallow, and the food travels all the way down through the esophagus into your stomach. And the stomach pours out hydrochloric acid and pepsin to begin the digestion of the proteins. Then the food moves into the duodenum, And this is the first part of the small intestine. And here it receives pancreatic enzymes and bile from the gallbladder. And then the food moves into the rest of the small intestine, this area down here. And if you took the small intestine out, it would be about 20 feet long. And it has more digestive enzymes to complete the total breakdown of the food so that now it can be absorbed through the walls of the intestine into the blood, which carries all of the nutrients to every part of the body. The body uses these nutrients to build and maintain and repair its cells and organs, to form and reform all the structures of the body. So you can see then how the whole digestive system expresses the power of order and organization. Now, what happens when we think or feel something that disturbs this orderly, systematic digestive process? So maybe we're in a hurry, or we're upset about something, or we're eating to fill our emotional needs, not our nutritional needs, and then we'll eat too much and we'll eat too fast. And in response, we may develop indigestion or heartburn, which is caused by the reflux of stomach acid back up into the esophagus. Maybe we have some difficult emotional experiences, and rather than taking the time to process them or digest them, we just stuff them in or suppress them. And then we may feel nauseous or have a queasy stomach. How about when you cannot stomach something in your life, or when something eats away at you? Then you may develop a stomachache, which is called gastritis, or maybe an ulcer of the stomach or the duodenum. Sometimes we don't develop actual physical symptoms or disease when our life is out of order. Rather, we just feel the disturbance in our solar plexus. So when we're angry or anxious or afraid, we may feel some tightness in our abdomen, some discomfort or a burning sensation there. Now, if we heed this warning and we deal with the cause of our upset, then this will help keep our digestive system healthy. We also commonly feel the disorder and upset in people around us. Have you ever walked into a room of people and felt that familiar twinge or tightness in your solar plexus? It's a clear signal that something definitely is out of order in this group. So what do we do when we have digestive difficulties? Please, by all means, go and see your physician or other healthcare providers. But at the same time, affirm that all is well, all is in divine order. And when you have put your life in good order, you will enhance the health of your whole digestive system.
Every day we say yes and no to many things. On what basis or ordering do we make these decisions? How do we decide what is important? What do we put first, second, third? How do I decide how I'm going to spend my time and money? Do I do things by impulse buying, which may result in a lot of plastic debt? Or do I tell myself that I love my plants and then not water them? Do I make a conscious prioritizing and then follow those values? Are my spiritual values and people central in my ordering of my days? How do I decide who and what comes first for us and then make a daily basis for ordering our life commitments and scheduling? Let's compare it to a gallon jar. I put a few large rocks like this one into the jar, and then I ask, is this jar full?
Yeah, looks full to me.
Looks full to me.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Robert, I want you to take some of this gravel, and I want you to dump it into the jar. And once more I ask, is this jar full?
Well, probably not.
No, I don't think so.
All
Yeah.
right, now you're catching on. Good. Now, we're going to pour some sand into. Okay, and once more I ask you, is this jar full?
No.
No. All right, good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to take a pitcher of water, Robert, and we're going to pour it right on in. Now, it's filled to the brim, right to the brim with water. Now, what is the point of this object lesson? Robert?
Well, maybe no matter how full our schedule is, if we really try, we can always fit something more in.
Wrong. The point is, the illustration is, that teaches us here that if I don't put the big rocks in first, then they'll never get in at all. Now, what are the big rocks in your life? What are the quality things that you want to do? What are the time that you want to spend with your loved ones? What is the time that you want to spend learning and growing, or time for meditation and physical exercise and rest? The big rock of helping others grow and succeed, serving a cause beyond yourself. Remember, these are the big rocks, and if you don't put them in first, you'll never get them in at all. Today and tonight, reflect on this parable of the jar and how it gets filled by you. Ask yourself, what and who is really most important to me, and put those first in the way you live your days and nights. First things first. Here are some values that truly matter. People matter. Helping each other matters. Having arts and music in our schools matter, as well as sports and field houses and winning games. Individuals and families matter. Workers and colleagues matter. Supporting a spiritual work and spiritual leaders matters. The environment and caring for the earth matters. Caring for our health and well-being matters. Clarify your values and put first things first.
Sometimes I'm home alone at night and I hear every little bump and creak around the house. I can let my imagination run wild and scare myself. Personal protection is one of the top concerns the majority of people have reported. A friend of ours, Pat Reese, in Detroit, was a single mom raising 3 girls in the city. One night she heard someone in the yard obviously trying to steal the lawnmower from the back of the house. She immediately turned on all the lights outside and around the house and scared the person away. Although she had averted the robbery, her anxiety about being home alone with the girls heightened dramatically. Friends in the neighborhood gave various suggestions of support. Get a gun, a big dog, a house alarm system, those kind of things. Well, Pat's a very creative and deeply spiritual person, and it came to her to create a stained glass window sticker with a simple message: "This house is protected by God." She placed it by the front door and around the back door, and each day as she walked into her house, she would affirm in her mind the statement on the window sticker. This initiated a shift in the way Pat began to feel as she put the thought of divine protection first and foremost in her mind. The ordering of her thoughts in this way brought calmness and confidence to Pat that radiated throughout her home and to her children. Her neighbors came by and they loved the window sticker and asked Pat to share the message of protection with them. Well, she ended up manufacturing these attractive decals and calling them the Home Blessing. Pat never had another attempted robbery, and she uplifted her whole neighborhood by having stickers on all the homes. Each created a divine sense of protection by ordering their thoughts to think of the loving presence of Spirit watching over them. They each created a new order by putting their focus on positive faith rather than on fear. The decals have now gone out in the thousands to many homes far and wide. How can you reorder your thoughts and feelings so that you feel safer? What do you give your priority to first? Your fears or your positive faith in a higher protecting power? Each of us has the choice and the power to change one thought at a time. I can create a new life, a new sense of protection and divine order once I have put first things first. Then I can add other methods as may be wise to my whole protection program, such as using locks and other security devices, being a part of a neighborhood watch team, and working cooperatively with the local police. It's been shown in studies of transcendental meditation, TM, that when numerous people who live in an area meditate on a regular basis, there is less crime in that area. So, a group of people steadily meditating on peace and protection can have a dynamic effect on what actually takes place in their neighborhood. We can also extend this prayer and meditation out to surround our entire planet in peace and order.
Our power of order and organization also expresses in our physical body as the skeleton and the skin. The bones, ligaments, and cartilage of the skeletal system form the internal solid structure and framework for our whole body. Our skin serves as the external boundary of our body, which protects and holds the internal organs in their right place. The skin is the body's largest organ, and perhaps no other organ so clearly reflects and reveals what we're thinking and feeling. For example, what happens when you're frightened? Well, your skin may become pale, or you may get goosebumps. And how about when you're embarrassed? Now you may blush. And how about when you're furious inside, but try not to show it? Your skin may get red and inflamed. My dear friend Patricia was getting married to the same man that she had divorced years earlier. She had carefully considered all of the pros and cons, trying to be sure that her new choice was the right one, that it was in divine order. And she thought that it was. Then, 3 days before the wedding, she broke out from head to toe in a skin rash. Obviously, she still had some unresolved fears and feelings and anxieties about getting married, and this was what was surfacing. But she worked on these, she thought about them and meditated, and she concluded that all was still well. So she went ahead with the marriage, which turned out to be an excellent decision. Now, Patricia did not say it at the time, but in regards to her choice, she might have said, "I know it's right, I can feel it in my bones." People commonly use this phrase because our bones are our body's solid core and framework. Our 206 bones give our body its overall form and structure. In like manner, we need a solid sense of order and organization in our own life. Some people who do not have this tend to be accident prone. They may have many bumps and bruises, falls, or even broken bones. Brad was a successful corporate consultant who gave training seminars all over the world. One night, returning from a trip and walking up the sidewalk to his house, he turned his ankle, fell, and broke a bone and tore some ligaments in his foot. And as he recovered, his foot now in a cast, he wondered why this accident had occurred. The realization came that he had been rushing around from project to project with such intensity that he never took the time to relax and to assimilate all that was happening in his life, or to spend sufficient time with his family and his friends. Now his so-called accident made him slow down and rethink his core priorities. As a result, he restructured and reordered his life, giving himself more time for meditation, quiet reflection, and lots of quality time with the ones he loved. And as he did this, he became more centered and balanced, more in tune with what was essential and most important in his life. And yet he still accomplished as much or more as he had previously because he had developed a whole new level of order and organization in his life. How can you restructure and reorder your life so that you too will be more grounded, balanced, and whole?
There are some simple, straightforward rules that can bring order and success to your life today. Use these as guidelines to order your day. Start what you need to start. Work on what you need to work on. Finish what you need to finish. And make sure that what you do is worthwhile and valid, that it serves a good purpose. Much success to you as you create beauty and order in your life.
As we are ordering our thoughts and thinking about being safe, one of my favorite protection prayers that we've said for years in our home with our children and in our spiritual family is called the Prayer for Protection. It was written by James Dillett Freeman, and it goes like this: "The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is." Share this prayer with those you love. Each of us can participate in creating a more peaceful world. It begins with one orderly, peaceful thought at a time.
I let people know they are important and make a big difference. There is an amazing order in the tiniest of creatures and in the innate ability I have to order my life. My life is in good order, so my digestive system works in a healthy and balanced way. I ask myself, who and what is really most important to me? And I put these first in the way I live my days and nights. I keep my thoughts orderly and calm, and I create an atmosphere of peace in my home and all around me. My skin and bones express my power of order. All is well, and I can feel it in my bones.